campaign about to hit the streets of Cleveland, and it has nothing to do with the November election.
We're talking about anti-smoking advocates launching an advertising campaign to get Cleveland City Council to ban flavored tobacco in the entire city.
It seems like a noble idea, but it also at the same time seems like it would be very difficult to enforce if it does come to fruition. To help us understand the political and health implications of a potential ban, we call on the managing editor of Signal Cleveland, Mark Naymik, and certainly one of our partners here that work closely on these political issues. Mark, good afternoon to you. Cleveland leaders have talked about this in the past. I remember before when this was proposed, but that ban earlier this year never got off the ground. So let's start by you explaining to us what happened to that initial push.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mayor Bibb pushed that ban to get rid of flavored tobacco. That's menthol, that's candy flavored. They even had tobacco products that had alcohol flavor in it.
Wow.
They wanted to get rid of it, and they wanted to make retailers register. But city council members really said this isn't going to work for us. They said that we have to push back on it because it's going to hurt the businesses, but more importantly, it's just going to mean without a statewide ban, people are just going to go to East Cleveland, Lakewood, they're going to jump borders and buy the product. They're saying it's essentially ineffective without a statewide ban, and they shut it down by just leaving it in committee.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I know Governor Mike DeWine actually supports a statewide ban, but you know, like you said, I mean, with the council having this view, how's this campaign going to work?
Well, first of all, retailers do make a lot of money from the sale of tobacco.
Yeah.
And so they have a good lobby and they can make a pretty big push. But they're going to try to do this by making it personal. They're going to really go after the emotional side of this. And the group behind it is the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, a national group that is pushing the ads, and they're going to run bold messages, obviously, to get people to talk about it and to call council members. One of the ads is going to talk specifically, and they quote the NAACP president here, and it says, "Black people didn't choose menthol tobacco. Companies chose us as the target for the market of their poison."
Wow.
And there's another one that says, quote, "Big tobacco is targeting black lungs." So clearly they're talking about specifically targeting a race of people, and that's something that they think will make a difference. They're going to run about 6 bus ads. They're going to have ads at the shelters, 30 or so ads around, but they're also launching a public awareness campaign through a website that has already signed up lots of health advocates and hospitals in town.
Okay, so you mentioned Mayor Bibb. Where does the mayor stand on this, and how does his view direct where this goes?
Well, he is doing campaigning. He's lobbying council members right now. Okay. That's what he has to do, is get council to, push this back into a committee. The mayor also travels a lot. We've written a lot about it. My colleague, Nick Costell, who first brought this story to the public view of these ads, which start this week, by the way, so we're going to start seeing them. But the mayor makes trips all over the place. He went to Washington, and he started to talk to that campaign for tobacco-free kids, and he's really buying into it, and he's lobbying council right now.
Yeah, it's always, every time you see stats nationally, Cleveland is always one of the highest rated cities in terms of percentage of folks that smoke cigarettes. So this is clearly a problem.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hear more about it, especially now we're going to go a little bit into the weeds, no pun intended, as we talk about issue 2, which is the legalization of marijuana and the smoking. So I'll be curious to see where the mayor and other advocates for the ban stand on that, because smoking is bad, whether it's cigarettes or marijuana. The mayor's office told me this afternoon that the mayor has yet to have a position on issue 2.
Quickly, this is a story we've followed now for 4 years, and I know you've covered this closely. There was a double homicide that happened back in 2019. It was the murders of 2 friends, Kate Brown and Carnell Sledge. The astonishing thing was there was almost nothing to go on here. Where are we on this case 4 years later?
Well, 4 years later, the case is cold, but the family, the Brown family, who I've stayed in touch with, has not stopped trying to get publicity for this case. And so recently they sat down with producers from Netflix, which is doing a special on this case. And as the sister told me here on Channel 3 a couple of years ago, that it's so important to keep it in the public view, because there's going to be somebody out there who hears somebody bragging about it in a bar or talking about that involvement, and that may be what links this together. Production's wrapping up on that show this week, no air date, but right now it's still a cold case.
All right, what a shame. Okay, Mark, thank you. Always good to see you.
Thanks.